Kidding. Oh, that just reminds me. On Twitch, one of my friends would always go, Kidding. Anyway.
Delightfully annoying.
I love it. Hello. Yes, let's do that's how we'd start this, eh?
Okay. Indeed it is. Hello.
And welcome
to the No One Asked You podcast. For this particular series, I haven't told Kitteh how to do this intro.
I am ThatDarnKitteh, and Dorkus and I are both going into this story completely new, with almost no knowledge of the story or world.
Each segment we intend to cover what happens in each new chapter and discuss our experience along the way.
This is Mistborn
Abridged, a blind read through.
And today we will be covering chapter 13. Mm-hmm.
Well done. Thank you. So that was a chapter, right, Kitteh?
Yes, it was. A chapter of all chapters. No, that's usually a bad thing. No, this is really quite a good chapter. Well, you know what? We actually have not discussed. Is this a good chapter for you? What's up?
I enjoyed this chapter. We got some heartfelt pleas. We got some Vin in trouble with her teachers. We get a little bit of risk at the end, a nice discussion between Kelsier and Vin about the issue that has arisen in the past regarding why Kelsier doesn't tell her everything, that I think is handled quite well.
Character work.
And we learned what Atium does.
Oh, remember that? That's you see, it's the one. So much coolness. Okay, there is coolness in this chapter.
Yes.
Coolness and consequences. Is that it? I think that could be it. I think we just got to get into it. Maybe that's just why we just got to get into this.
I think that's fair. So, shall we?
Yes, let us epigraph.
I know that I shouldn't let a simple packman perturb me. However, he is from Terrace, where the prophecies originated. If anyone could spot a fraud, would it not be he? Nevertheless, I continue my trek, going where the scribbled auguries proclaim that I will meet my destiny. Walking, feeling Rashek's eyes on my back, jealous, mocking, hating.
Damn.
Someone's sounding a little... Is it paranoid if he didn't feel like he was the chosen one in the first place?
Yeah, he's a bit unsure. It's not paranoid, it's just, yeah, he's unsure. I think, anyone should be going, it's not me. Like, that's a journey that they go through. Wheel of Time, hello. It's one of the things where it's like, no, it's not me. It's not me. I show some of the signs, but I'm not really the prophesied person.
Right. And it's
so
like
that.
He has expressed that he doesn't feel like the chosen one, that he feels almost like a fraud, but we don't know if he's going around places saying, yeah, I'm the chosen one, I'm going to save the world. And that's sort of the impression, like, I don't think that's actually what's happening, but that's what this little epigraph sort of gives the impression of, as if he is going around doing that. And I that's not what I got from previous ones.
I did get that this was collective. It wasn't just him walking around with like the secret. He had to be confirmed by philosophers and whatever's.
Right.
So I know that there's lots, but so this is saying you are a lot more. You're like he actually is a lot more vocal about it. You're getting a sense that he's a lot more vocal than before, public.
Right, because we know that he said that he can feel their destination. So it almost seemed as if he was getting to a place where he was starting to believe it to be the case. But it's this line, if anyone could spot a fraud, would it not be he? That would presume that Epigraph Man is earnestly pretending or just pretending to be the chosen one. Even though he doesn't truly believe it. But
maybe he doesn't truly believe it, he doubts it, but he has been confirmed as this and he is it. He's unsure of himself being able to do this thing, right? And then somebody is there being hateful and mocking and jealous. So he's thinking, if that's a person who, if I'm a fraud, wouldn't he be the one that tells me I'm a fraud? So he's this, is he mocking and jealous just because he's jealous and mocking, or is he telling me I'm a fraud? I think he's wondering if Rashek is, well, no, he's wondering if Rashek's hate for him means anything more than just he's jealous. I don't know. More answers, please.
Indeed. Just because I don't feel as if I've been completely clear on this particular epigraph, I'm going to try to restate the position as clearly as I can.
Okay.
All right. We know that Epigraph Man started in a place of, they're telling me I'm the chosen one, but I don't feel like I'm the chosen one.
Mm-hmm.
And then the story seems to have progressed to a point where he says, we're getting closer to our destination. I can feel the destination, even though the others cannot.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Which is
And
which is closer to accepting he's the chosen one, right?
Right. So what I'm wondering is if something within the time frame of the feeling of their destination, he has come to the position of, I am the chosen one. But then comes this line: if anyone could spot a fraud, would it not be he? Which suggests that he still doesn't think that he's the chosen one, or that there is at least still some small amount of doubt.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, it's more about his doubt than Rashek being an actual person saying you are a fraud.
Right. Or at least Epigraph Man feels like a fraud, and he fears that because Rashek does not seem to like Epigraph Man, it must be because Rashek, it's a little bit of paranoia. Rashek must know that I know I'm a fraud, and that's why he doesn't like me, type of a mindset.
Exactly, yeah.
But it's not like super spelled out, and I would like confirmation that that's what's going on, but
yeah,
I don't mean like it would be better if it was written with that confirmation. I mean, I, as a reader, want to know if that is the reason or not.
Exactly. And also, what I did you consider when this line, also one of the first times when I read this, did you consider maybe Rashek like takes his place? Did you have any of that sort of wonderings? Because
it did, and it's so funny you bring it up, because I was going to ask you, do you think that Rashek will betray the Lord Ruler, Epigraph Man, and then become the Lord Ruler? Is it Rashek that does this?
Yes, I was wondering that. I really was wondering, because it's like, oh well, if he's jealous, mocking, and hating, that is a very Lord Ruler kind of, bad man kind of thing. So I think, okay, I did consider, it made me consider that. And I think Brandon Sanderson wants us to at least wonder.
Right. And
it's part of the mystery. He's giving us this crumb and we're like, oh.
Yes, and we do know that the prophecies are from Terrace. We know Rashek is a Terraceman. We know that Rashek does not like people who are not Terracemen. Wait, did I double negative myself that properly? I'm saying Rashek is a racist.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I get it. Yeah. You did double negative. Yeah, that's good. He doesn't like people that are not terrorists. Yes, that's it's not inaccurate. It's just you took the long way around to say he doesn't like people.
Right. Yeah. So it is in keeping with what I know Brandon Sanderson's thesis idea for this world was, which is to say that the hero, the prophesied hero, fails. And it could well be that Rashek is the cause of the failure.
Yes, cause of the failure, or the one that, cause of the failure. If he takes over, he's the cause of the failure. That's true. So it works. And we just wondered, okay? It doesn't mean that we think if there's the possibility. And I think he wants us to think about that. Whether or not it comes around, it's a question. And he's like, keep on reading, which is, yeah, it's what we were just like, give us all the epigraphs together and we'll figure it out. But yeah. Again, lamentation of audiobook, because they put these in at the end of the chapter. Yeah.
It's so strange.
It is very strange. I don't know how that works.
But what you and I will do, once we have finished the final chapter of this first book, we will do a special epigraph recording where I will read through every epigraph in order, and then
Chapagraph.
Chapagraph.
We'll do a epigraph. Never mind. I'm trying to recreate the miracle of chapagraph of
an epichapisode.
You know what? There you go. So yes, that is a great idea. We'll do a whole ass, and you will also have to read all of them. You will be we all have access to them in order, all read without me interrupting. Yeah.
A quick follow-up question from the previous chapisode.
Mm-hmm.
How is the audiobook's voice for Elend?
He's not that. It's not that. I need to go back to it. I didn't find him particularly this or that. It was just. Yeah. Good. Yeah. They didn't. It wasn't. He wasn't really particular. I will go and do a clip of it, and I'll send you an audio clip.
Cool. That'll be neat to hear.
Mm.
All right. Anything else on the epigraph?
I just wish we could have them all. Nope. Nothing new. Nothing new.
Excellent. Then we begin chapter 13. Vin sat with her legs crossed beneath her on one of Lord Renault's fine, easy chairs. It felt good to be rid of the bulky dress, instead getting back to a more familiar shirt and trousers. Sazed's calm displeasure made her want to squirm. He stood on the other side of the room, and Vin got the distinct impression that she was in trouble. Sazed had questioned her in depth, seeking out every detail of her conversation with Lord Elend. Sazed's inquiries had been respectful, of course, but they had also been forceful. Yeah, we remember. Sazed was freaking out.
Yeah,
he was angry.
He was properly he's still freaking out.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm just like, okay, this isn't. I don't know. Do you share his panic? I'm like, okay, relax.
I don't, but I kind of feel like I either should or that it's understandable given the stakes as we had learned from the Kamen chapter.
Yeah, sure.
The terraceman seemed, in Vin's opinion, unduly worried about her exchange with the young nobleman. They hadn't really talked about anything important, and Elend himself was decidedly unspectacular for a great house lord. But there
There you go. Sorry, I want to talk about that.
Go on.
Okay. Decidedly unspectacular for a great house lord. That is part of Vin's feelings for him. Like she has this interest in him, but she also is not impressed with him in the way she thinks she should be. So I thought it was pretty funny that she goes decidedly unspectacular. That's part of her resentment for him.
Yeah, and especially given what we come to learn about her opinions on him, I think this is a bit of denial.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. We need this. I like this idea.
Yes. But there had been something odd about him. Something Vin hadn't admitted to Sazed. She'd felt comfortable with Elend. Looking back on the experience, she realized that for those few moments she hadn't really been Lady Valette. Nor had she been Vin, for that part of her, that timid crew member, was almost as fake as Valette was. No, she'd simply been whoever she was. It was a strange experience. She had occasionally felt the same way during her time with Kelsier and the others, but in a more limited manner. How had Elend been able to evoke her true self so quickly and so thoroughly? I liked this portion about how she can be herself with Kelsier and the others, but in a more limited manner. I thought that was interesting, and I it could be the master-apprentice relationship that is preventing her from being like wholly herself with Kelsier. But it's interesting that she feels this way, and I want her to feel comfortable, and I wish she would feel wholly comfortable with Kelsier.
Mm.
And
You wish it was not just with this weird stranger dude.
Right. And I think she might feel this way with Ellen because of the potential romantic possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's potential and possibilities in the same sentence. But I'm speaking so good today.
Yeah. It was fine. You're being overcritical, so you're stopping yourself.
I really am. But I do not like Ellen. And yes, I have my biases, but as best as I can, putting my biases aside, he is dangerous. Her being in a relationship with him is dangerous. And I don't see a tremendous amount of good. So I don't like her feeling comfortable with Ellen.
Yeah, you want her to experience that sort of comfort elsewhere. And also just I don't know how real that comfort is. Is it a result of this is the first person she's met, after experiencing herself, if you know what I'm saying. Remember we were saying she's becoming a person, because she's now emerged from the trauma hole, basically. And she's getting to feel a bit more like herself, getting to figure out what she wants and what she likes and things like that. And now this is just a person that she meets after developing that part of herself. So it makes sense that might be this might be where that comes to fruition. So I'm trying to make excuses for this Ellen thing because I'm like, he's not that special. I don't know why. But you know what? In terms of writing, though, I did want to point out. When she rejected the other dancers, the other people wanting to dance, she said, she said her bit. It's my first ball, and I could not dance. That sort of thing, like, okay. And when she spoke to him, she said, I can't dance well, which is actually not the line she's supposed to do. So there is truth to the fact that she was being someone else. She was being the real Vin, if you know what I'm saying. She did have her guard down. So it is written that way.
The interaction, you're not going to let me read tonight, are you? Wasn't planning on it. Seemed very real, a very real interaction from her.
Exactly. She wanted him to engage with her.
And that's something that I wanted to say a little bit earlier, was he might be the first person that was uninterested in her. Kelsier's interested in her because of the Mistborn stuff. Everyone else has been interested in her in one way or another, and she, who wants or thinks she wants to be entirely alone, suddenly has this interaction with someone who is seemingly uninterested in her. And I say seemingly because clearly he was paying attention to the people that she was rejecting. I think he's into her very much so, but he played it off certainly as if he wasn't interested, which could be interesting to her.
Yeah, no, that's exactly his whole pull for her, is that he was not doing what the others were doing. And she was and this is a new feeling for her, because she's like, wait a second, you're supposed to be doing these things and you didn't. That's like that became a curiosity, and that brought her out of her shell. She's like, wait a second. And that's when also when he goes, you're not as timid as you seem, or whatever you look. It's like that's the real Vin is not that timid, actually. Also, speaking about this thing where she says the timid crew member was almost as fake as Valette was, that's quite some insight. She's quite insight. I didn't know she knew that about herself. I didn't know.
It's good to know. Yeah.
Yes, it's good to know. Like
it's what Kelsier saw.
Yes, it's the real her. but she doesn't even have a name. Do you see that? Vin is the Tim, like we are calling her the real Vin, but she was whoever she was. She had been whoever she was. There's no real Vin yet. It's only just happening. Maybe he used allomancy on me,
she thought with a start. Elend was a high nobleman. Perhaps he was a soother. Maybe there was more to the conversation than she had thought. Vin sat back in her chair, frowning to herself. She'd had copper on, and that meant he couldn't have used emotional allomancy on her. Somehow, he had simply gotten her to let her guard down. Vin thought back to the experience, thinking about how oddly comfortable she'd felt. In retrospect, it was clear that she hadn't been careful enough.
I'll be more cautious next time.
She assumed that they would meet again. They'd better.
Oh, how did you like that? How did you like that part, Dorkus? I'm sure you were like, no.
Yeah, no, I don't want them to, and I'm fairly confident that Sazed and Kelsier won't want her to either.
Yeah.
But they better, that's like a challenge.
She's totally hooked. She really has. Yeah. She's crushed on this. And you know what? It's her first crush, really. So that's what you think. Oh, I need to see them again, so that we can have more of an interaction and I can find out more and curiosity about it. So I'm seeing this teenager that is besotted, becoming already. I'm already like, oh god, here we go.
And they better as a challenge, it feels a little bit aggressive. And when I think of tomboys, and Vin, I think it's fair to say, is a tomboy.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of that aggressive, almost boyish attitude to it. And I think that's really excellent character work.
Yeah, that is exactly it. She's curious about this. She wants to, what is it? Because it is a kind of combat. She wants to go back and rematch now.
I'm gonna see him again, and I'm gonna be on my guard this time. I'll be more cautious. I'm gonna do it better. He'll see.
And also, she's saying she'll be more cautious. Meantime, she just wants to see him again. Okay, she just wants to see him again and make him like her the way that he's supposed to, and then maybe she won't care about it. I'm telling you, I think that's what she's after. And also, I did like the fact that she was also wondering whether there was allomancy. I really enjoyed that because I remember I asked you, I said, do you think he was using allomancy? And I'm glad that we had confirmation that she was burning copper at that time. So there is absolutely no way that but she herself was still like, wait a second. Was that magic? It's like, no, it's actually just the fact that you had a crush. That's actually what happened to you. Which is it's cute. I like that idea. It's just like, there's no emotional allomancy being used here. It's actually just all charisma. It's all riz.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
I did that, yes. Word of 2023.
A servant entered and whispered quietly to Sazed. A quick burn of tin let Vin hear the conversation. Kelsier had finally returned. Please send word to Lord Renaud, Sazed said. The white-clothed servant nodded, leaving the room with a quick step. The rest of you may leave, Sazed said calmly, and the room's attendants scampered away. Sazed's quiet vigil had forced them to stand, waiting in the tense room, not speaking or moving. Sazed was freaking out.
Yeah. I would want to squirm as well if I was Vin. And he's not speaking to her. He's not, like, he's asked her all his questions. He's not saying, okay, this is how we're going to do it, or this is how we're going to work on this, whatever. He's just standing there as well and being, and everybody's on edge.
Kelsier and Lord Renaud arrived together, chatting softly. As always, Renaud wore a rich suit cut in the unfamiliar Western style. The aging man kept his gray mustache trimmed thin and neat, and he walked with a confident air. Even after spending an entire evening among the nobility, Vin was again struck by his aristocratic bearing. Kelsier still wore his mist cloak. Saz, he said as he entered, you have news? I am afraid so, Master Kelsier. It appears that Mistress Vin caught the attention of Lord Elend Venture at the ball tonight. Elend? Isn't he the heir? He is indeed. I met the lad perhaps 4 years ago when his father visited the West. He struck me as a bit undignified for one of his station.
4 years? There's no way he's been imitating Lord Renault for that long. Calcia only escaped the pits 2 years ago.
What do you think that's about?
Okay, so yes, I was wondering when I should bring this up. I was like, okay, what is the possibility that this guy is the guy that taught Calcia to use Allomancy? Because he's got an old guy that taught him that. I don't know.
Yeah,
There's a possibility that it's him in my mind. But I'm wondering what happened to Gemmel then. I'm just saying, where did he come from? Where did he go?
Where did he go?
Where did he come from? So that's what I'm saying. Did that cross your mind?
I think it unlikely that Renault is Gemmel. Mostly because I feel as if Kelsier would be treating Gemmel with more deference than he treats Renault. I feel as if he treats Renault with, as an equal, whereas I feel as if he would treat Gemmel as an elder or a teacher.
I think he would treat Gemmel the way he treats most people. I don't think he would have difference to him because he's just casual about everything. But either way, the point is I did just consider it, and I do think it is unlikely. I considered it, but I think it's unlikely. But not for the same reasons you think. It's more just because it's just like, wait, the age and what it just doesn't make sense. It seems like he's probably dead, this Gemmel guy. But also, but also, this Renault guy. I don't know. We would need him to be more Mistborn. He's not acting Mistbornish. So, yeah. Look, the plot thickens with Renault. Who is he? How would he have met? Is he some sort of nobleman? Has he been imitating a nobleman for that long? But that is kind of what Calcia and his mum did. They were imitating noble people for a very long time. So It's a thing. Yeah. Anyway, more the plot thickens.
She eyed the imposter, but, as always, was unable to detect a flaw in his bearing. How attentive was the boy. He asked her to dance, but Mistress Finn was wise enough to decline. Apparently their meeting was a matter of idle happenstance, but I fear she may have caught his eye. You taught her too well, Saz. In the future, Vin, perhaps you should try to be a little less charming.
Why? I thought we wanted me to be well liked.
Not by a man as important as Elend Venture, child. We sent you to court so you could make alliances, not scandals. Venture is young, eligible, and heir to a powerful house. Your having a relationship with him could make serious problems for us. The women of the court would be jealous of you, and the older men would disapprove of the rank difference. You'd alienate yourself from large sections of the court. To get the information we need the aristocracy to see you as uncertain, unimportant, and, most importantly, unthreatening. Besides, child, it is unlikely that Helen Venture has any real interest in you. Now, I disagreed with that part.
Yeah.
It is unlikely that Helen Venture has any real interest in you. He is known to be a court eccentric. He is probably just trying to heighten his reputation by doing the unexpected. Yeah, I disagree with that. If he's eccentric, why wouldn't he like an eccentric young girl?
Yeah. He's just, oh God. Yes, if he's trying to act like the eccentricity of this Elend guy is all an act. When no, like you've said, if he's eccentric, he wants an eccentric woman. So it's real interest. But it's like, oh no, the way that this Renault guy is seeing it is, oh, his eccentricity is just he's just doing what is not expected of him, and that's what he does. It has nothing to do with the other people. It's just he strategically makes the decision to be eccentric rather than he is eccentric.
Right, which makes sense coming from Lord Renault, who is himself acting as someone else.
Exactly. So it makes sense that he would think that way. And look, yeah, it's just I did say that yeah, maybe his initial interest in her is something that is like, oh, well, everybody expects me not to give a damn about her and I will do what everybody, doesn't expect me to do. But then she becomes interesting to him because she's not what he expected. And yeah, I do think he is interested in her. But initially, I think it was a little challenge for himself. So yes, two things can be true at once. But he's made a distinction here between why he's making eccentric decisions.
I also can't help but feel as if the comment might. I don't think it's anywhere in Renault's consciousness that Vin might like Elend, but us knowing that Vin likes Elend, his words could be seen as perhaps tactless or hurtful.
Yes.
In a way.
Yes, it's hurtful. It's like, oh, no, yeah, it's unintentional. He doesn't realize that what he's saying is, oh, there's nothing likable about you. It's not really that he's not trying to say it's that she's unlikable. It's that he is just floaty. He's like, it's more about him than actually her, but it does come off, when you hear that, it does come off as like insulting to her. That she could be of no interest to someone like him, which it is hurtful, and she feels her face flush.
Yes, Vin felt her face flush.
He's probably right,
she told herself sternly. Still, she couldn't help feeling annoyed at the three of them, especially Kelsier with his flippant, unconcerned attitude.
Okay, then I want to ask you a question.
Yes.
Yes,
ask the question. Yes, for the question. The next line, nice. Kelsier's next line is yes.
I know. That's what I was like.
Yes.
No, what did she want from Kelsier? What did she want? Does she want Kelsier to say well done? Or what did she want? Because she's especially irritated with Kelsier. I suppose it's because she cares about him the most. I don't know, or respects his opinion the most. What do you like? I would be most annoyed with the person that's just said I'm not interesting, basically. But she's mostly upset about Kelsier.
I think she wants because she almost has this father-daughter relationship with her. I think she doesn't realize what she wants. And I also think she kind of wants him to say, you're a very pretty girl, Finn, and I'm sure you could get any guy you want.
Yeah, she wants that, and she wants it from the most important of them, her father figure, mentor person, Kelsier. Yeah. She doesn't know what she wants. She's irritated with him. I love that. He's writing her very well, that she doesn't actually know exactly what she wants, but she's just annoyed, okay? That's all she's doing. Yeah.
Yeah. Would you like to do Kelsier from now on?
No, thank you.
Yes, it's probably best that you avoid Venture completely. Try to offend him or something. Give him a couple of those glares you do. Vin regarded Kelsier with a flat look. And that's the one, Kelsier said with a laugh. So, look, Vin did glare at him. And I'm pretty sure that he would like the glares.
Yes, he did. Yeah. She did glare. She was being herself, yes.
Yeah, he likes the lack of timidity.
Yes.
The lack of timidness. Yes. So if she just goes around glaring at him, I think he'd be
He'll
into
like it. Yeah, yeah. She's got to be more normal. She's got to be more like the rest of the girls, man. Give him a leg. He is not. You see, that's the thing. They're forgetting that he is actually kind of eccentric. As much as we don't,
Yeah.
We don't want to like him.
I think we all know that she needs to act crazy to get him not interested.
Yeah. Or just be basic. Just be so basic.
Oh yeah.
I've used the word Riz in this episode, and I will use the word basic. I am with it, kids. I am Gen Z. Okay.
Basic is millennial, isn't it?
I thought it was very. Well, I don't know. What do I know?
But Riz is cringe. Not gonna lie.
You use cringe. We're very hip.
Vin clenched her teeth and forced herself to relax.
I saw my father at the ball tonight,
she said, hoping to distract Kelsier and the others away from Lord Venture. Really?
I recognized him from a time my brother pointed him out to me.
What is this? Vin's father is an obligator, and apparently an important one if he has enough pull to go to a ball like this. Do you know what his name is? Vin shook her head. Description?
Bald, eye tattoos.
Point him out to me sometime, all right? Vin nodded and Kelsier turned to Sazed. Now did you bring me the names of which noblemen asked Vin to dance? She gave me a list, Master Kelsier. I also have several interesting tidbits to share from this steward's meal. Good, Kelsier said, glancing at the grandfather clock in the corner. You'll have to save them for tomorrow morning, though. I've got to get going.
Going? But you just got in.
That's the funny thing about arriving somewhere, Vin. Once you're there, the only thing you can really do is leave again. Get some sleep. You're looking a bit ragged. Kelsier waved a farewell to the group, then ducked out of the room, whistling amiably to himself.
Too nonchalant and too secretive. He usually tells us which families he plans to hit. Oh, I think I will retire.
I love it, Vin said, yawning. And you did the yawn. You are...
Yeah, look at me. I'm amazing.
Yes, you are learning excellent voice acting skills, Kitteh. Making me proud.
Don't cry, don't cry.
Sazed eyed her suspiciously, but let her go as Renaud began speaking quietly to him. Vin scrambled up the stairs to her room, threw on her mist cloak, and pushed open her balcony doors. Of course she does. So obvious.
Really? But Sazed at least he was diverted, okay?
Yeah. Mist poured into the room. She flared iron and was rewarded with the sight of a fading blue metal line, pointing into the distance.
Let's see where you're going, Master Kelsier.
Vin burned steel, pushing herself into the cold, humid autumn night. Tin enhanced her eyes, making the wet air tickle her throat as she breathed. She pushed hard behind her, then pulled slightly on the gates below. The maneuver swung her in a soaring arc over the steel gates, which she then pushed against to throw herself farther into the air. She kept an eye on the trail of blue that pointed toward Kelsier, following him at enough of a distance to remain unseen. She wasn't carrying any metal, not even coins, and she kept her copper burning to hide her use of allomancy. Theoretically, only sound could alert Kelsier of her presence, and so she moved as quietly as possible. Surprisingly, Kelsier didn't head into town. After passing the mansion's gates, he turned north out of the city. Vin followed, landing and running lightly on the rough ground.
Where is he going? Is he circling for Lise? Heading for one of the peripheral mansions?
Kelsier continued northward for a short time, then his metal line rapidly began to grow dim. Vin lingered beside a group of stumpy trees, and the line faded at a rapid rate. Kelsier had suddenly sped up. She cursed under her breath, breaking into a dash. Ahead, Kelsier's line vanished into the night. Vin sighed, slowing. She flared her iron, but it was barely enough to catch a glimpse of him disappearing again in the distance. She'd never keep up. Her flared iron, however, showed her something else. She frowned, continuing forward until she reached a stationary source of metal. 2 small bronze bars stuck into the ground a couple of feet from each other. She flipped one up into her hand, then looked into the swirling mists to the north.
He's jumping, but why?
Jumping was faster than walking, but there didn't seem much point to it in the empty wilderness.
Unless...
She walked forward, and she soon found 2 more bronze bars embedded in the earth. Vin glanced backward. It was hard to tell in the night, but it seemed that the 4 bars made a line that pointed directly toward Luthadel.
So that's how he does it.
She thought. Kelsier had an uncanny ability to move between Luthadel and Felice with remarkable speed. She'd assumed that he was using horses, but it appeared that there was a better way. He, or perhaps someone before him, had laid down an allomantic road between the 2 cities. This was a really cool world-building thing to me.
I knew you would like it. I was going to ask you how, because you were also talking about how you want to feel, like, you want to have a better feel of distance in this world as well. So this, we'll see how long this takes. But yeah, this is part of that. And also, yes, you could create a allomantic road. This is what they would be like.
Right. So you have this technology. You have this magic. Of course, your world will develop things around that to suit those abilities, why would you need a car when you can fly?
Yeah, exactly. So all you would
and
need is this kind of like, instead of a railway, you just have the like a little permanent anchor points that you can just pull and push against.
right, and Vin is smart enough to note that someone else might have done it, not Kelsier, and that makes sense because Kelsier
Yeah,
is not the only Mistborn in the world.
yeah, and Mistborn, there might be more and more of these Elementic roads. So now we've got this in our arsenal. This could be there must be an Elementic road somewhere. I don't know if that's now the term that we can call it, but it's within her head. That's what it's called. So
I mean,
I
I
love it.
like
It's
the
very
phrase. I
yeah,
like
I love it.
Alamantic Road. That sounds cool.
It is very cool.
She gripped the first bar in her palm. She'd need it to soften her landing if she was wrong, then stepped up in front of the second pair of bars and launched herself into the air. She pushed hard, flaring her steel, throwing herself as far up into the sky as she could. As she flew, she flared her iron, searching for other sources of metal. They soon appeared, 2 directly north and 2 more in the distance to either side of her.
The ones on the side are for course corrections.
She realized. She'd have to keep moving directly north if she wanted to stay on the Bronze Highway. She nudged herself slightly to the left, moving so that she passed directly between the 2 adjacent bars of the main path, then hurled herself forward again in an arcing leap. She got the hang of it quickly, hopping from point to point, never dropping close to the ground. In a few minutes, she had the rhythm down so well that she barely had to do any corrections from the sides. Her progress across the scraggly landscape was incredibly swift. The mists blew by her, mist cloak whipping and flapping behind her. Still, she forced herself to speed up. She'd spent too long studying the bronze bars. She'd had to catch up to Kelsier. Otherwise, she'd arrive in Luthadel but not know where to go from there. She began to throw herself from point to point at an almost reckless speed, watching desperately for some sign of Alamantic motion. Now, there was a small part of me here that was concerned that she would accidentally bump into someone who wasn't Kelsier.
Yeah. No, this is the whole thing she's doing here is very reckless.
It's
Not just the
very
speed.
reckless.
She's just, oh well, let's just go. It's like, hello, now you're going to the city. You're not the only Mistborn, honey.
Yep. So that was in the back of my mind. I was very, very worried for her.
Yeah, and Kelsier as well doesn't know that she's behind. Well, that might have assumed that she was following him, but I don't think initially he knew. And he doesn't know to protect her. So she is.
Yeah.
The fact that he doesn't know she's there means that she is very much alone. She could have just been taken out by someone. Who knows? And then that's it. She's done. So I was very worried for her. I was not happy with her actions. Yeah, I was like, oh, you naughty, naughty child.
Yep. After about 10 minutes of leaping, a line of blue finally appeared ahead of her, one pointing up rather than down toward the bars in the ground. She breathed in relief. Then a second line appeared, and a third. Vin frowned, letting herself drop to the ground with a muted thump. She flared 10, and a massive shadow appeared in the night before her, its top sparkling with balls of light.
The city wall. So soon, I made the trip twice as fast as a man on horseback.
However, that meant she'd lost Kelsier. Frowning, she used the bar she'd been carrying to throw herself up onto the battlements. Once she landed on the damp stone, she reached behind and pulled the bar up into her hand. Then she approached the other side of the wall, hopping up and crouching on the stone railing as she scanned the city.
What now? Head back to Felice, stop by Clubs' shop and see if you went there?
She sat uncertainly for a moment, then threw herself off the wall and began making her way across the rooftops. She wandered randomly, pushing off of window clasps and bits of metal, using the bronze bar, then pulling it back into her hand, when long jumps were necessary. It wasn't until she arrived that she realized she'd unconsciously gone to a specific destination. Keep Venture rose before her in the night. The limelights had been extinguished and only a few phantom torches burned near guard posts. So,
what did you think of that?
well, oh gosh, what did I think of that?
Didn't think much.
Is
that what you're saying?
No, I thought a lot about it, and I'm trying to figure out how to articulate it. There were 2 options in my mind as to why she would have gone there, and one of them ended up being correct. The first was she had given up on Kelsier and wanted to reconnaissance, for lack of a better term, see if she could get any information on Elend. Or she's insightful enough that, given the information that Kelsier had just obtained regarding Elend, he would want to go, and that was her instincts.
It's her instinct, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's both.
Oh yeah?
Like, can it be both? Like she's tempted, she wants, so she's worried about what Kelsier might be going to go and do, or Kelsier might be going there. So she just wants to be near Elend. And yeah, so she gets this I don't know, excitement of being near the guy, and then also like maybe she runs into him, but then also in the back of her mind she's also like, well, Kelsier might be here as well. So the point is, there's two things that are pushing her towards this subconsciously. Both the fact that Kelsier might be there, but also that she wants to be there, whether Kelsier's there or not. Point is, she got to go. And that's why I was like, oh, duh, of course. It's not far-fetched at all.
Cool. Vin crouched on the edge of her rooftop, trying to decide what had led her back to the massive keep. The cool wind ruffled her hair and cloak, and she thought she felt a few tiny raindrops on her cheek. She sat for a long moment, her toes growing cold. Then she noticed motion to her right. She crouched immediately, flaring her tin. Kelsier sat on a rooftop not 3 houses away, barely lit by ambient light. He didn't seem to have noticed her. He was watching the keep, his face too distant for her to read his expression. Vin watched him with suspicious eyes. He dismissed her meeting with Elend, but perhaps it worried him more than he'd admitted. A sudden spike of fear made her tense.
Could he be here to kill Elend?
The assassination of a high noble heir would certainly create tension among the nobility. Vin waited apprehensively. Eventually, however, Kelsier stood and walked away, pushing himself off the rooftop and into the air. She's got it bad.
I'm so sorry. Because you hate him so much. Like, I'm indifferent to him at this point.
Of course.
But yeah, he and like I said before about the whole, they were smiling about the death of noblemen before the ball, and then she meets this one, and she's decided, oh, he's allowed to live. So like her immediate thought is, oh shit, is he gonna kill Elend? Oh no! It's like, yes, what? Yes, that could be what. Yeah.
It may be what needs to happen at some point, and
how do you square that circle?
Yeah, and this is another manifestation of paranoia. She is a very paranoid person, but this somehow feels different, but it is still paranoia.
Yeah, I mean, it's founded. She is, but yeah, it's founded because she knows that she has the context of, okay, well, he did dismiss this meeting, of course. So like you said, she has that instinct that he might have come here for that reason. That's why she was following Kelsier, and she did think he was going to come and kill, in the back of her mind, she did think he was going to come and kill Elend, just to remove this complication while creating more chaos. But I really don't think there is paranoia, because I really don't think he would do that without telling her. I don't know. I feel like that would be really, but here he is. What is he doing? I was going to ask you, what do you think of him doing? What is he doing there? Was he going to, and then he realized that Vin was there, and then he stopped?
I do not think he was going to kill Elend, but I do wholly believe he went to go gather information on Elend.
Yeah. I'm comfortable with that. I want that to be the truth, because it's like it's just way too drastic for him to just go and kill the guy, you know. And this is Vin's paranoia, thinking that he's just going to do that without saying so. Without saying that this is how he's gonna solve the problem. Instead, he's just gonna, you know, he's just getting intel. I'm happy with that decision, that estimation, that measurement of words.
Position.
Yeah, that one.
Oh, this is gonna be an episode. I can tell.
This is gold. Listen, I fought off the migraine, but the migraine does affect your speech centers, okay? So my
And
speech
I'm
centers
just
are off
not that
center.
bright. So okay. Vin dropped her bronze bar, it would give her away, and dashed after him. Her iron showed blue lines moving in the distance, and she hurriedly jumped out over the street and pushed herself off a sewer grate below, determined not to lose him again. He moved toward the center of the city. Vin frowned, trying to guess his destination. Keep Arakeller was in that direction, and it was a major supplier of armaments. Perhaps Kelsier planned to do something to interrupt its supplies, making House Renault more vital to the local nobility. Vin landed on a rooftop and paused, watching Kelsier shoot off into the night.
He's moving fast again.
A hand fell on her shoulder. Vin yelped, jumping back, flaring pewter. Kelsier regarded her with a cocked eyebrow. You're supposed to be in bed, young lady. Vin glanced to the side toward the line of metal.
But
my coin pouch. A good thief can steal clever tricks as easily as he steals boxings. I've started being more careful since you tailed me last week. At first I assumed you were a venture Mistborn. So I love that Kelsier's taken tricks from Vin. That's neat.
yeah. Yeah, I love that he used that again. He's not too proud to not use a trick that was used on him. He's like, yeah, that's a good idea. And he's put it into use. Yeah. I was worried about this whole thing about Vin being out there. And I was hoping that it was Kelsier, but with this hand over her mouth, I was like, oh God, what is happening?
Yeah, they're 100%. It was like, was it a venture Mistborn? Oh shit. Because that was already in my mind from before. The fact that she was leaving and losing Kelsier, I was concerned she would get lost and bump into someone she shouldn't.
Exactly, and Kelsier doesn't know about her. So I had that concern, and I was like, so as soon as his hand went over, it was great writing. It's not like, and then I was so relieved when it was Kelsier. It was like, okay, thank God. But she's lucky because she was very focused on Kelsier. That's why she was taken by that trick. She's very focused on, okay, I'm going. She could totally have been taken by surprise by someone else. So thank God. Thank Kelsier.
At first I assumed you were a venture Mistborn.
They have some?
I'm sure they do. Most of the great houses do. But your friend Elend isn't one of them. He's not even a misting.
How do you know? He could be hiding it.
He nearly died in a raid a couple of years ago. If there were ever a time to show your powers, it would have been then. Vin nodded. Well, do you think Elend is non-magical, or do you think he just doesn't like to use his powers, even in that situation?
It's still possible that he doesn't use them. We don't know for sure. Yeah, it's just as possible that he doesn't have powers. And it's really funny how Vin, you can see she really wants him to have powers too. She's like, I want him to be cool.
Look, if he is of ideological tendencies toward revolution, it suggests a mindset of, I don't feel like I'm any better than the Ska. And to have magic powers, in theory, from a eugenics standpoint, might be considered as being a superior being.
Yes.
So if you... I don't think it is impossible to imagine a person having allomancy, being a Mistborn or a Misting, and not using it, even under dire circumstances.
Because you view it as a
dirty in some way.
Thing. Okay, that's an interesting explanation. I didn't go for that because I was thinking, remember you were thinking about the dynamic of being part of a great house and not having powers. And
there is that whole. Sorry, continue.
No, you wouldn't have powers, so you would be ashamed of not having powers and ashamed of, it's possible that he doesn't have them. So that was more me leaning towards it possible that he doesn't. But now you've given me an explanation that does also make sense, that he wouldn't use them even after having them because he would be really bad with it as well because he doesn't train them. But if he did have them, and his family knew, he would probably end up being trained. I don't know. It's either or at this point. We both have explanations both ways.
Yeah, and I could see it going either way. We just need to know more about Elend's specific views on the Ska.
Mm-hmm. What I really mostly took from this was just Vin wanting him to have powers. Mostly I was focused on that. That was my, I don't give a damn about him really. I'm just more like, oh, look at Vin. She's like, oh, he might be hiding it, because he's got to be cool.
Yeah. He nearly died in a raid a couple of years ago. If there were ever a time to show your powers, it would have been then. Vin nodded, still looking down, not meeting Kelsier's eyes. He sighed, sitting down on the slanted rooftop, one leg hanging over the side. Have a seat. Vin settled on the tile roof across from him. Above, the cool mists continued to churn, and it had begun to drizzle, slightly. But that wasn't much different from the regular nightly humidity. I can't have you tailing me like this, Vin. Do you remember our discussion about trust?
If you trusted me, you'd tell me where you were going.
Not necessarily. Maybe I simply don't want you and the others to worry about me.
Everything you do is dangerous. Why would we worry anymore if you told us the specifics?
Some tasks are more dangerous than others. Vin glanced to the side in the direction Kelsier had been going, toward the center of the city. Toward Kredik Shah, the Hill of 1,000 Spires, the Lord Ruler's palace.
You're going to confront the Lord Ruler. You said last week that you were going to pay him a visit.
Visit is perhaps too strong a word. I am going to the palace, but I sincerely hope I don't run into the Lord Ruler. I'm not ready for him yet. Regardless, you are going straight to Clubs' shop. And that is certainly a little bit fatherly there. But, oh, he's hitting Kredik Shah tonight! Exciting! Yeah. What's he after?
Yeah. So he was going to get some intel adventure, and casually hitting Kredik Shah. Okay.
Look, he wouldn't have gone to venture, I think, if Vin hadn't met Elend. So he would have gone straight to Kredik Shah. And Vin would have followed him to Kredik Shah. And I bet that Kredik Shah just has the best defenses imaginable, which means she totally would have gotten on this episode of What If.
She would be yeeted. That's it, done.
Oh, man.
So, yeah, we're lucky the way things have turned out. She was really re-emphasizing, yes. She is very reckless, and that is why he's also, I'm first of all, so glad he picked up that it was that she was following him, because we don't want her, he would not know, whatever he's comes up against at Kredik Shah, he wouldn't know that Vin is in danger either. So that doesn't help.
Yep.
So now I'm glad that they know. But then this is also why he sits her down. He's like, listen here.
And he's not being angry about it. He's being direct. He's being intense. He's being serious. He's not being mean.
He's not, and he's trying to really explain it to her. That's why he's sit down, And also, one thing I didn't mention in the previous little bit, the way he's you're supposed to be in bed. Exactly. He doesn't go straight to, what the hell are you doing here? It's just hey, he's a bit more chill than, yes, as much as he might be what the hell is she doing? He speaks to her in an appropriate way. He's hey, you're supposed to be in bed. And then he knows not to just blow up at her.
Yes, because that's not what her psyche needs. And he is concerned with her psyche.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Vin nodded. Kelsier frowned. You're just going to try to follow me again, aren't you? Vin paused, then she nodded again. Why?
Because I want to help. So far, my part in all this is essentially boiled down to going to a party. But I'm Mistborn. You've trained me yourself. I'm not going to sit back and let everyone else do dangerous work while I sit, eat dinner, and watch people dance.
What you're doing at those balls is important. Vin nodded, glancing down. She would let him go, then she'd follow him. Part of her reasoning was what she'd said before. She was beginning to feel a camaraderie for this crew, and it was like nothing she had ever known. She wanted to be a part of what it was doing. She wanted to help. I loved that. I loved that.
Yeah, that is. It really does make sense. She's as 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 reckless as she's being. It's really out of this want to just be part of it and be valuable. And to she also is worried about Kelsey as well. She's like, I can help. I
Yeah.
can do. I can be effective. This is the first time she's mattered in anything. So she's like held on to that and just wanted to take full advantage of it and take it to the next level without thinking of the consequences, which is very natural. It's normal, especially for her age and just for her whole psyche. It makes so much sense. So, yes, she's done something very dangerous, but it absolutely makes sense.
And look, she could easily ask, can I go with you on one of your other heists? Please. And there's got to be a safer first option than Credit Shaw. But at the same time, she's here now and she's clearly not going away. So this is a tough situation for Kelsier to be put in.
Yeah. And I love that he has the instinct that no, she's not going to she's not going to go away. She isn't. She's not going to listen to him. And I'm glad that he realizes that. He doesn't take her word for it. And actually the way that she just immediately is nodding, we can see both of them just know that she's lying. I think that's so funny. It was enjoyable to have that like they both know she's lying. It just emphasizes her real just need to be part of this. The fact that she's like, no, she'll just casual lies, and she's operating within her normal psyche, actually, her normal behavior, which is lying and secretive and all of that, because that's just how she is. She's like, okay, fine, I'll lie to him, and that's completely cool with her, so that I get what I want. And that's not how things usually work. But she's
not how trust works.
Yeah, that's not how trust works. But she's so inexperienced, doesn't know how this is, so she's going to just follow her greatest desire, which is that need to be part of things. That she's being irrational actually about it. She's not thinking, wait a second, I have camaraderie with these people, I'm lying to them, I'm putting them in danger by just following them around rather than telling Calcia, I'm coming with you. That she's being reckless because she doesn't actually realize the consequences. Yeah, I like that she's doing this. It's so realistic, but it's also so frustrating. And I love the dynamic because I love the fact that, again, I'll say it again, they're just both sitting there within her lies. Like, she's nodding.
Yes.
Yeah, cool, I'm going to do it. And he's like, oh, I know that she's not. Okay, so what does, like your position, like you said, Kelsey's position here is, I can't shake her. She's going to lie to me. So what do I do? Do I not go to Critic Show tonight? He could have done that as well. But it seems like, we'll see, he actually does continue with this plan.
And we don't actually know if he can or can't go tonight because we haven't had a POV of whether or not he has like set up certain elements in Credit Shaw to be prepared for him or not. So
yeah, what makes tonight the night?
Yeah. Another part of her whispered that Kelsier wasn't telling her everything. He might trust her, he might not. However, he certainly had secrets. The 11th Metal and therefore the Lord Ruler were involved in those secrets. Kelsier caught her eyes, and he must have seen her intention to follow in them. He sighed, leaning back. I'm serious, Vin. You can't go with me.
Why not? And I like it. She abandoned pretense. Yes. Now let's abandon pretense, okay? Says, why not?
Yes. She asked, abandoning pretense.
If what you're doing is so dangerous, wouldn't it be safer if you had another Mistborn watching your back?
You still don't know all of the metals.
Only because you haven't taught me.
You need more practice.
The best practice is doing. My brother trained me to steal by taking me on burglaries.
It's too dangerous.
Kelsier,
she said in a serious tone.
We're planning to overthrow the final empire. I don't really expect to live until the end of the year anyway. You keep telling the others what an advantage it is to have two Mistborn on the team. Well, it's not going to be much of an advantage unless you actually let me be a Mistborn. How long are you going to wait? Until I'm ready? I don't think that will ever happen.
Kelsier eyed her for a moment, then he smiled. When we first met, half the time I couldn't get you to say a word. Now you're lecturing me. Vin blushed. Kelsier sighed, reaching beneath his cloak to pull something out. I can't believe I'm considering this, he muttered, handing her the bit of metal. Vin studied the tiny, silvery ball of metal. It was so reflective and bright that it almost seemed to be a drop of liquid, yet it was solid to the touch. Atium, 10th and most powerful of the known elementic metals. That bead is worth more than the entire bag of boxings I gave you before.
This little bit.
Atium only comes from one place, the pits of Hathsin, where the Lord Ruler controls its production and distribution. The great houses get to buy a monthly stipend of Atium, which is one of the main ways the Lord Ruler controls them. Go ahead and swallow it. So, I'm going to take a moment here to say that I've noticed something that Brandon Sanderson does in writing, and that's to repeat things, well, repetitively. We have now heard several times ash fell from the sky. We have now heard several times Atium comes from the pits of Hathsin. It's not a bad thing. It's just a noteworthy thing to me.
Yeah, as people have these complaints about Robert Jordan as well, that he repeats certain types of things. I enjoy it. I'm okay with the repetition. It's just part of the world. It's part of, yeah, I'm used to it, I suppose. And maybe that's why I was satisfied with the way Brandon Sanderson took on Robert Jordan's style. So yeah, but I understand a lot of people actually have that as a criticism. They don't even say it's something that they note. They're like, no, I wish he would stop doing that. But to keep it woven in to remind you of its relevance, I like that, because when you have books that go over, or a story that goes over several books, you need to do that sort of thing. I'm okay with that.
Sure. And it's reinforcing like the main elements of the world.
Yeah.
Now, I've made comments, I think, in the past. I forget if it has been on a Chepisode or just between you and I, about a certain degree of simplicity that I've observed in the writing style. About how this is an easy read. And I'm wondering if the repetition is feeding into that observation.
Yeah, I think you're very aware of it, because if it wasn't as easy reading these repetitions, maybe they wouldn't even be there. It's part of the simplicity. That's what you're saying. But that you're not saying that it's basic. You're not saying it's shallow.
I mean no pejorative, and I do
Mm-hmm.
not mean shallow. Correct.
Yeah, but if it was this thick prose, there wouldn't be room for this repetition, or it would be different every single time.
Someone listening to this is about to have a heart attack, but I have struggled getting through Lord of the Rings. I struggle with Tolkien's prose. Maybe it's my ADHD brain, but I have not had the problem that I have with Tolkien with Sanderson. So I truly mean it when I say, when I'm using these words like simple or basic, that it is not a pejorative. It's just an observation that I have this thought, this feeling, this concept in my mind that I am just struggling to articulate, and I'm trying to do it as best I can.
I think you've made it clear. It's not a pejorative. You're commending it. You're saying, wow, we've got this rich story. There's so many layers to it, but he's put it into simple words. We've got all of these layers, all of this stuff to talk about, but the reading itself is not difficult.
Yes, the language also feeds into that. Except for the occasional dropping of the word maladroitly and so on, the language is
accessible.
Yes, that is a wonderful word for this. Yes. Okay, let's continue. Tangent over.
Welcome back.
Excellent. The great houses get to buy a monthly stipend of Atium, which is one of the main ways the Lord Ruler controls them. Go ahead and swallow it. Vin eyed the bit of metal, uncertain she wanted to waste something so valuable. You can't sell it. Thieving crews try, but they get tracked down and executed. The Lord Ruler is very protective of his atium supply. Vin nodded, then swallowed the metal. Immediately she felt a new well of power appear within her, waiting to be burned. All right. Burn it as soon as I start walking. Vin nodded. As he began to walk forward, she drew upon her new well of strength and burned atium. It's also noteworthy. I bet this atium's intended purpose was for Kelsier in the Kredek Shaw heist, or whatever it is he's doing there. So the difficulty challenge just increased exponentially with the loss of this resource. Now, he may well have more atium in his pockets, but every little bit, atium is not easy to come by.
Yeah, he's whatever supply he brought for this heist is now has to be divided between him and Vin. So
Yes.
this is putting whatever he was going to do in more jeopardy. But things like you were saying, there's some reason that we don't know why it has to be tonight. I mean, he looked at the clock and all of that stuff. So there might be things that he's set up that mean that he can't just go back and restart this heist tomorrow. He has to either not do it at all and then it's done, or he has to do it now and take the risk by including Vin.
Yes.
So there's something that's pushing him that he has to do it tonight, and so he takes this risk by dividing these resources.
Yes. Burn it as soon as I start walking. Vin nodded as he began to walk forward. She drew upon her new well of strength and burned atium. Kelsier seemed to fuzz slightly to her eyes. Then a translucent, wraith-like image shot out into the mists in front of him. The image looked exactly like Kelsier, and it walked a few steps in front of him. A very faint, trailing after-image extended from the duplicate back to Kelsier himself. It was like a reverse shadow. The duplicate did everything Kelsier did, except the image moved first. It turned, and then Kelsier followed its same path. The image's mouth began moving. A second later, Kelsier spoke. Atium lets you see a bit into the future, or at least it lets you see what people are going to do a little bit in the future. In addition, it enhances your mind, allowing you to deal with the new information, allowing you to react more quickly and collectedly. Okay.
Very cool. We know what it does.
We know what it does, and I wouldn't necessarily call that time travel.
No.
But time observation is very interesting.
You know, eventually what we actually have is a version of prophecy as a power.
Yes.
Like we were talking about that and we're like, oh, how would you have that as like a burning power, that you would burn some metal and then know the future? We did actually land up talking about that. But this is actually the practical use of that. It's actually come down to it that yes, it's only a few seconds and it's physical. It's the practicality. It's not, what will happen to the world and, fluffy stuff like that about prophecy. But yeah, we've got prophecy as a power in Atom.
Yeah, and it's certainly very individual. It's what's around you, and it seems to be limited in time. Like, I wonder if it could be used to see something 5 years from now rather than 5 seconds from now.
I don't think that would be possible. I don't think that this is very immediate. So it's not like that. It's not like it could be used that way. I don't think you would have to be able to contain that much of it. I would assume that the rate of your burning would maybe show how would vary how long you see, how far you see into the future. It'll be interesting to see how this works going forward. Yeah, it was an interesting surprise. So like, okay, so we finally know what this most powerful metal is.
And I'm curious.
A little quirk. Yeah.
I'm curious to know what the ramifications are, and I'm curious to know what the counter to it is, because all of the other metals have their counter, right? The pushing and the pulling. the calming and the rioting. So
Yeah, and why is this metal so important to the Lord Ruler? Like, I can see its use, but it's very practical and immediate, like you were talking about. So, what does the Lord Ruler have to do with it? Like, what is he? Why does he need this? What is the counter? Does that have something to do with, because we have
to,
that theory of the deepness not being actually affected; it's being kept at bay.
well, I halfway expect them to get through the heist, to break into the vault, to find that it's empty or
Mm.
near empty. Certainly, I don't expect there to be any atium there, which is what they are going for mostly.
There's going to
And,
be some
and
switcheroo.
yeah, and look, I'm telling you, prediction: the counter to atium is longevity, like
Mm.
healing of some sort, or like time slowing, and so it lets you slow down your aging, which is possibly how the Lord Ruler is made
Immortal.
immortal. And
That
I
makes sense.
bet, yeah, and I bet a combination of one of these two metals is used in perpetuity to keep
Hmm.
the deepness at bay. That's what I'm thinking right now.
I'm wondering. Okay, so if they, I am willing. Look, I would be. It's a possibility that this at bay thing is happening, but it's also a possibility that it has been destroyed, but there was a counter sort of that. This is
True.
my wheel of time
I'm
counter strike
Yeah.
sort of thing. But the perpetuity and the whole this metal keeping him alive, that makes sense to me. I really feel like that is it. I love that we just have and everybody's probably they know the answers. The people that know this, keep quiet, no spoilers. Watch us go through all of our theorizing, and then when we get to the answers, we'll be like, "Wow, that's cool." So
Yes, I have no doubt that whatever answers there be, they will be satisfactory.
interesting,
Uh,
yes.
for all of my nitpicks, I still think Brandon Sanderson is writing an excellent book.
Hmm. Rich story, rich, rich, rich.
The shadow stopped, then Kelsier walked up to it, stopping as well. Suddenly, the shadow reached out and slapped her, and Vin moved reflexively, putting her hand up just as Kelsier's real hand began to move. She caught his arm mid-swing. While you're burning atium, nothing can surprise you. You can swing a dagger knowing confidently that your enemies will run right into it. You can dodge attacks with ease because you'll be able to see where every blow will fall. Atium makes you quite nearly invincible. It enhances your mind, making you able to make use of all the new information. Suddenly, dozens of other images shot from Kelsier's body, each one sprang in a different direction, some striding across the roof, others jumping into the air. Vin released his arm, rising and backing away in confusion. I'm now burning atium too. I can see what you're going to do, and that changes what I'm going to do, which in turn changes what you're going to do. The images reflect each of the possible actions we might take.
It's confusing.
Vin said, watching the insane jumble of images, old ones constantly fading, new ones constantly appearing. Kelsier nodded. The only way to defeat someone who is burning atium is to burn it yourself. That way, neither of you has an advantage. The images vanished.
What did you do?
Nothing. Your atium probably ran out. Vin realized with surprise that he was right. The atium was gone.
It burns so quickly.
That's probably the fastest fortune you've ever blown, eh?
It seems like such a waste.
Atium is only valuable because of allomancy, so if we didn't burn it, it wouldn't be worth the fortune that it is. Of course, if we do burn it, we make it even more rare. It's kind of an interesting relationship. Ask Ham about it sometime. He loves talking about atium economics. Anyway, any Mistborn you face will probably have some atium. However, they'll be reluctant to use it. In addition, they won't have swallowed it yet. Atium is fragile, and your digestive juices will ruin it in a matter of hours. So you have to walk a line between conservation and effectiveness. If it looks like your opponent is using atium, then you'd better use yours too, but make sure he doesn't lure you into using up your reserve before he does.
Does this mean you're taking me tonight?
I'll probably regret it. But I don't see any way to make you stay behind, short of tying you up, perhaps. But I warn you, Vin, this could be dangerous. Very dangerous. I don't intend to meet the Lord Ruler, but I do intend to sneak into his stronghold. I think I know where we might find a clue on how to defeat him. Vin smiled, stepping forward as Kelsier waved her toward him. He reached into his pouch and pulled out a vial, which he handed to her. It was like standard allomantic vials, except the liquid inside held only a single drop of metal. The atium bead was several times larger than the one he had given her to practice on. Don't use it unless you have to. You need any other metals? Vin nodded.
I'm burned up most of my steel getting here.
Kelsier handed her another vial. First, let's go retrieve my coin pouch.
End chapter.
End chapter.
Oh, questions.
So many questions.
Mm-hmm. He just said they wouldn't have swallowed it yet, and then he just gave her some to swallow.
Well, presumably some to swallow later, right?
Didn't she drink it? Oh no, he just gave it. I guess I my brain just took it and went, oh, she swallowed it. Never mind.
Well, then again, if it's only a few hours, presumably it won't take them that long to get to Krennic Shaw. But no, she did not drink it, as far as I recall.
She did not drink. Yeah. So she's got to keep it, and even so. Also, what was he doing with it? So he had vials, but then he had beads of it. Like I don't know. Either way, it's not that important. I just want them to do this heist thing. I'm very excited for it.
Yes.
And worried about it. I don't know what. I think they're going to be surprised because they have really no idea. There's none of our thinking here of what Atium is about, because they just think, oh well, yeah, the Lord Ruler just has lots of Atium, and he knows there's something to find out, but I don't think he knows the gravity of what he's going to find.
I agree.
We haven't had that. Yeah.
He knows that there is mystery to be had. Mm-hmm. I don't think he can even comprehend the depths of the mystery.
Yeah, he doesn't anticipate it at all. We haven't been in his mind long enough to see that. So I get the sense that he doesn't have expectations, or he has no, what do we call it? He doesn't have these suspicions, the same suspicions, or the depth of the suspicion that we have, because we're outside. Anyway, I had things to say while you were reading. I was like, oh yeah.
Well, take a few moments. I don't know that I have much more to say. It feels like a very functional chapter, almost a transitional chapter.
Yes.
I think, which was good.
Yeah, we've put all the drama of the ball and stuff behind us. It's like, no, now we got to actually focus on this heist thing, this breaking. This is a much bigger thing. It's like, who gives a crap about the balls and stuff? It's like, okay, this is much closer to the core of the mystery and whatever. So it's very exciting. I'm happy to leave the balls behind.
Yes.
Sorry, I just realized what.
Kiteh, this is a PG.
Is it?
It's not okay. No, it's not.
But yeah, that is chapter 13. I enjoyed it, and I hope he doesn't do a time jump or whatever.
Yes.
I'm very excited to just get into 14.
Me too. I want to be in Krennic Shaw. I want to hear what it looks like. I want to see what it looks like. I want to know what kind of defenses it has. And I want to know more mystery. And I think we'll get it.
I hope so. I'm just looking a bit. Okay, so there's chapter 14 and chapter 15, and that's the end of part 2. Yeah. I thought, because I was like, oh, is chapter 14 the end of part 2? No, chapter 15 is. So chapter 14 seems the same length as this chapter. So exciting stuff. I just want to go and get into it, actually.
Oh, man. Okay.
Oh, you know what we haven't spoken about?
What?
Is liking and subscribing, liking the No One Asked You podcast. And also reminding everybody that this is not the only thing that Dorkus does with this channel. What else does he do?
True. I'm uploading Cicero's On Duties 3 on Wednesdays, and I have other things in the work. But forget about me. If you haven't subscribed to That Darn Kitty, oh man, you are missing out. She's got diagram streams. She's got gaming streams. She has panel shows. It's a really wonderful community she's building, and I would highly recommend that you follow her.
Many thanks. Dorkus features on the panel shows Thursdays. Turn on your notifications to see when we go live.
Yeah. All right. Have a good week, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.